I don't know what market you're in, but let me ask you this. Have you ever encountered a seller who believed their home was worth more than it actually is? Yeah, me too. If you've ever been in that situation where the seller's expectations are sky high and you're stuck between telling the truth or risking the relationship, you're not alone. The reality is overpriced homes don't sell, and the longer they sit, the more damage it does to the listing and your credibility. But here's the good news. You don't have to argue or convince. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a visual pricing strategy that helps sellers see the truth for themselves without confrontation and without giving away your value. I'll walk you through exactly how to present price in a way that builds trust, positions you as the expert, and gets the listing priced right from the start. Let's get started. But before we do, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a tip to help you build a referral-based real estate business that's both predictable and profitable. So before we jump into the actual pricing presentations, it's essential to understand that pricing a home correctly doesn't start at the kitchen table. It begins in the initial conversation when you're setting the appointment. Here's what I mean. Most real estate agents get so excited when a seller says, yes, come on over, that they forget to do some critical fact finding before hanging up. Instead of just rushing to lock in the appointment, you need to slow down and confirm a few key things that will make your listing appointment more gettable. I created a comprehensive training on this topic titled The One-Stop Listing Appointment: How to Get the Listing in Just One Visit. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend doing so. It provides you with all the necessary ingredients to make your appointments more productive and predictable. I will include a link in the description below. One of those key ingredients is this. You need to find out what the seller is already thinking about price. Ask them, just so I can prepare properly, do you have a ballpark in mind of what you think your home might be worth? Getting this information ahead of time gives you a huge advantage. Why? Because if their expectation is way above what your CMA supports, you'll know in advance that you're going to need a visual strategy to shift their thinking. On the other hand, if their number is in line with your research, good news. You won't have to work nearly as hard to justify your recommendation. Either way, it's critical information that helps you tailor your presentation, set the right tone, and prepare for the possible objections before you walk through the door. So remember, the pricing conversation doesn't start with your CMA. It starts the moment the seller says, come on over. When you get a moment, take some time to watch my video called What to Say During a Listing Presentation. In it, I walk you through exactly what to do and say from start to finish during a listing appointment. It's a complete roadmap. I will provide you a link in the comment below. Now, let's talk about one of the most common challenges agents face. When you go on a listing presentation, you're going to run into two types of sellers. Sellers who agree to price their home correctly based on market data, and sellers who want to price higher than what the market supports. This video is for the second group, when sellers overestimate the value of their home. Quick side note, if you're watching this video and you already have a listing that's just not selling, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's almost always the price. There are three ingredients that determine whether a house will sell or not sell. Number one is condition, number two is location, and most importantly, number three is price. Believe it or not, I have agents say to me, Gary, I've got the comps. I know it's priced right. So I'll ask, okay, how's the condition? It's in amazing shape, they'll say. Then I'll ask, well, how's the location? And if the home backs up to power lines or a busy road or another visual eyesore, you have to price it accordingly. A property with those kinds of challenges simply can't be priced the same as a comparable home without them. And if the condition is a 6 out of 10, you adjust the price accordingly. And if the location is the issue, well, as I sometimes joke, you might want to move the house. The bottom line is this: you can't control location. You can't control the condition. Only the seller can control that. However, you can price it based on the condition and the location. That's why it's critical to learn how to guide sellers through this conversation, especially when their expectations don't line up with reality. So picture this. You've built rapport, asked great questions, toured the home, and walked the seller through your marketing presentation. Now it's time to talk price. But here's the problem. You know the seller is thinking way more than the home is realistically worth in today's market. Before you present your CMA, your job is to help shift their mindset. And the best way that I found to do that is using a technique I learned from Floyd Wickman back in 2002. It worked then, and it still works today. And since I'm recording this in August of 2025, when we have shifted into more of a buyer's market, it's more important than ever to master this. This is called the dilemma technique with the wholesale resell timing pyramid. This dialogue takes practice, so I encourage you to watch this a few times and internalize it. Once you own it, it becomes second nature, and it can make or break your ability to price a listing right. So here's the 6-step dilemma technique script. I will include a link to this in the description below. Step 1, close for the listing subject to price. So the dialogue is, based on everything you've seen so far, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we could agree on price, would there be anything preventing you from moving forward and listing with me tonight? You're going to want to pause and wait for their response. Then you're going to say, great, now let's talk about price. But before we do, I have a dilemma I've been wrestling with. Can I share it with you? They'll say yes, because anytime you pair price with dilemma, you have their full attention. Step 2, explain why you do comps. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the other day, I asked what you thought your home might be worth. And I also gathered details about your home. How many bedrooms and bathrooms and garages, because I needed to go to the computer and look for what we call comparable sales. Of course, no two homes are exactly alike, but you have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and with a 2-car garage. So I looked for other 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car homes that have sold recently. Because at the end of the day, your home, like all homes, will only sell for what a buyer is willing to pay based on comparable properties. Do you agree with that basic premise? When you ask this question, if they say no, it means they are either lying or not going to be reasonable. This is just common sense. I will tell you, in my years of asking that question, all sellers have said yes, they agree. They may like it, they may not like it, but they agree. Now, step number 3, explain how you tried to confirm their price but couldn't. So the good news is I found some great comparable sales, so we won't have to guess at the price. But here's the snag. I couldn't find anything, not even close, that supports the price you had in mind. Then you refer to the price they gave you. Step number 4, get permission to explain the dilemma. But here's the thing, that's not my dilemma. Can I explain what I mean? Then go to step number 5. Present the dilemma. Here's my dilemma. Do I tell you what you want to hear about the price of your home, knowing that'll probably get me the listing, but also knowing that a few weeks from now, when it hasn't sold, I'll have to come back and disappoint you? Or do I tell you the truth right now, even if it means you might not list with me and go with an agent that is not willing to be completely upfront with you, and hope you appreciate that I'm being honest with you from the start? Then you go to step number 6. Ask them what they want to do. So here's what I'll do. I'll leave it entirely up to you because I want to work with you either way. Do you want me to lie to you or do you want me to level with you? Then you just let them speak. And I will tell you from experience that all sellers who are serious about getting the home sold ask you to level with them or tell them the truth. This technique does 2 powerful things. Number 1, it shifts the seller's perspective without confrontation. And number 2, it positions you as a trustworthy professional, not just someone chasing a listing. When you master this script, you'll never fear the pricing conversation again, even when the seller's expectations are way off. Now that you've addressed the dilemma, and earn the seller's trust, it's time to bridge into the pricing visual using what I call the wholesale retail timing pyramid. And the bridge dialogue is let me show you how most successful sellers choose their list price. Now, I'm going to walk you through a visual that will make this super clear. In the field, I don't use fancy printed materials. I use the best sales tool we have, a yellow pad. Now let's go to my presentation so I can show you the visual. All right, so we're here on the computer and I'm going to show you the breakdown of the wholesale retail timing pyramid. So essentially where you're at with this is you got your yellow pad, you're going to draw the three circles, and then you're going to draw the triangle, and you're going to have three different levels of the triangle. Okay, so here's the dialogue breakdown. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are three different prices on every home. There's wholesale, there's retail, and there's your list price. Let's take them one at a time. First, we have wholesale. This is what an all-cash investor will pay for your home. They're buying it to hold, fix it up, and resell it for profit. Investors typically pay about 75 to 80% for your home. And then you're going to say something like, if I brought you an all-cash offer that could close in less than 2 weeks for that amount, would you consider it? Because we all know that if you listed a house for, say, $400,000, and that was the actual retail price of the home that you got with your comps, and you turned around and you lowered that price by 20 to 25%, chances are you're going to get that in a bidding war. And you could probably close that pretty quickly, okay? And then I usually ask them, if I brought you an all-cash offer that could close in less than 2 weeks for that amount, would you consider it? For the most part, they're going to say, hell no. They're probably not going to take that. So then there's retail, or what we like to also call market value. This is what John and Jane Doe, the average home buyer, will pay for your home in today's market. Based on recent comps, they're buying to live in the home and raise a family. Then there's your list price, which is always determined by you. If time is essential, if you need your money in 2 to 3 weeks, you'll want to price accordingly. If you're okay with waiting 60, 90, or even 120 days to see if the right buyer might show up at your higher price, that's also a choice, but it comes with risk. So then you're going to draw the pyramid, which goes underneath the three circles, and you're drawing the pyramid and you're going to say, whatever their price of their home is, but we're going to use the example of $425,000. And then on the yellow, you're going to basically draw the triangle with the three levels. And the top level represents wholesale, and the bottom level represents retail or market value. And in the middle level, if they want their money sooner. So basically, you're getting a range of a home. So if they want their money quick, they want it within time is of the essence for them, then you're going to basically market the house to try to get their money in 14 days. If you're at 425, that would be a $280,000 price. And then if you're looking at a $400,000 price, that would be 102 days, and that's market value. And again, this is all what your CMA is saying. Your CMA is giving you these numbers, right? And then you're going to go through and say, okay, well, realistically, if you could get the house sold quicker, so they want their money in like 60 days, then essentially you're going to need to reduce the price of the home, say $10,000. So now what you're doing right now is you're giving them the value of the home based off of, just kind of a sliding scale here. It just all depends on where they're at, right? Well, they say, no, well, we want $425,000. You're not going to argue with them. You're just going to say, well, no problem. Essentially, what we can do, it's going to take longer to get the 425, which is your list price, which is what we talked about with the three circles earlier. But the thing is that you have to understand that right now you're realistically showing them a range of where their house is going to sell for and how long it could potentially take. Now, again, could it take this long? Absolutely. So what we're always trying to do is we're trying to set the seller up for worst case scenario, right? So not the best case scenario, but the worst case scenario. So in summary, this visual helps the seller connect price, to time. If they're thinking, 20K over the CMA, this shows them that to possibly get that number, it might take months or it may never happen at all. More importantly, it takes the pricing monkey off of your back and puts the responsibility right where it belongs, on the sellers. You're not being difficult, you're being honest. And now you've given them a clear, logical way to make the decision themselves. Now, some sellers still want to shoot for the stars, and that's okay, as long as you have standards in place. I'm personally okay taking an overpriced listing under one condition: that we agree in writing to a pre-signed price adjustment that we implement after, let's say, 30 days on the market if there's no serious activity. So let's jump off the computer. Okay, so I'm personally okay taking an overpriced listing under one condition: that we agree in writing to a pre-signed price adjustment that we implement after, I don't know, 30 days, 45 days on the market if there's no serious activity. Of course, you will call the seller first before we activate that reduction, but this gives us a plan up front to stay realistic and competitive in the market. This isn't just about pricing a home. It's about managing expectations, protecting your brand, and guiding your sellers with professionalism and clarity. When you learn to deliver this confidently, it positions you as the expert and makes your CMA far more persuasive. Now that you've helped shift the seller's mindset around price, it's time for the next step. Watch my next video, how to present the CMA like an appraiser, where I'll show you how to walk the seller through a quick pricing game that makes the numbers click. This approach not only reinforces the right pricing strategy, it keeps them engaged, thinking objectively, and locked into the right mindset to sell their home successfully. If you want help with structure or building a six-figure database, click the link in the description below to schedule your free book of business review call. If this video helped you, give it a like, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. This channel is all about helping you build a real estate business that's predictable, profitable, and filled with purpose. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.